Okay, can you hear me? Okay. I'm so honored to be here tonight. You really got quiet when I got up on stage.
I'm quieting them down for you.
Yeah, but I am so honored to be here tonight. I want to share with you just some parts of my own journey of vision loss. I actually have an undiagnosed retina disease. That's really rare and special. That my doctors found when I was around 15 years old. And so when I was about 30, I started to lose vision really quickly. So I had a total retinal detachment in my left eye in 2012. And then in 2016, in a matter of 2 months, I went from being 20/40 to 2400. So a really significant change really quickly. At the time, my husband and I were living in Houston, and I was working at a children's hospital there. I'm a registered dietitian, and we made the decision that we should move back to Chicago. We had lived here previously, and we loved Chicago, and we also felt like it was going to be able to accommodate my needs in terms of public transportation and really help me to remain as independent as I want to be. So we moved back to Chicago in February of 2017, so just over a year ago. And I will never forget the first week when I was at home in our new place in Logan Square, and Patrick, my husband, had gone to work, and I felt scared to leave the house. And that was not a feeling that felt good or that I was at all accustomed to, but I didn't have the skills and I didn't have the confidence to leave the house as a person with a visual impairment. This was all so new to me. So it was lucky for me that I found Second Sense pretty shortly thereafter, and my first experience at Second Sense was a one-week technology training, and it was fantastic. And in addition to just the skills that I learned, I also had the opportunity to connect with people with similar situations. And I remember speaking with a young woman who was also visually impaired. She was a student in the class, and I remember her telling me, because she knew that I was a couple weeks out from beginning orientation and mobility training, so training with the white cane. And I remember her telling me that I should give O&M all the time and effort and energy that it deserves, because it's the most important skill that we have as visually impaired people, because it's really our key to independence. And so I took that advice to heart, and I started working with Rachel, our O&M instructor at Second Sense, and we worked together for many months. And so I was hoping that I could take you all on just a brief journey, an imaginary journey, the way that I do things when I go to work every morning, just so you have a sense for what it's like. So just indulge me for a moment. When I leave my house in the mornings, I head out of our gates and I head west on Diversity Avenue. And I know that I try my best to stay in the center of the sidewalk so as not to get hit by doors that are, whipping open with customers coming out of businesses, and not to hit any of the sidewalk furniture. On the left side of the sidewalk, things like mailboxes and signs. So trying hard to stay in the center. And then when I can hear the traffic ahead of me, I can hear it first at Milwaukee and Kimball and Diversity, and then I know that I'm there when my cane hits those bumps on the edge of the curve, signaling that the curve is ending and the street is beginning. And so when I get to that intersection, I align my body so that my body is facing the crosswalk, and I make an assessment. And I ask myself, is this safe for me to cross? And I have to consider a lot of things. I think about what's the shape of this intersection. Is it a T shape? Is it a cross shape? Or it's something we have in Chicago. It's actually a 6 points. So I think about that. And it matters because it's giving me information about when's it going to be safe for me to cross this street. And so I do my assessment and I decide that it's going to be safe for me to cross when the traffic on Milwaukee Avenue gets the fresh green light. So we call that a parallel surge. And so that occurs when the traffic is halted and then they get the green and they go. And that is in effect providing we call it a wall of steel, like a wall of protection for pedestrians who are crossing the street. So I know that's when I'm gonna cross. And then the next thing I have to think about is, do I have enough time to get across the street? So I know that diversity is 4 traffic lanes, and then there's 2 parking lanes on either side, so that's 6 lanes I have to get across. And gosh, I mean, I think I can make it because I walk fairly fast, so I've made that decision, and so I wait for it, and when I hear the parallel surge on Milwaukee, I take my cane and I step off the curb. And as I'm heading across Diversity Avenue, I feel the street slope upwards, and that gives me tactile feedback that I'm approaching the middle of the street. And then I feel the decline on the opposite side. My cane hits the bumps on the opposite curb, on the opposite side of Diversity, and I've made it. And that is just one of many streets that I have to cross. And that doesn't include all the other obstacles I may encounter along the way. It doesn't include the stairs down to the L. It doesn't include getting myself positioned on the L platform. What I'm trying to convey is that it's very complex. But it's also so necessary for the visually impaired to have this training, because without it, you know, I would still be scared to leave our house. And so I have so much gratitude for Second Sense. It's not an exaggeration in the slightest when I say that if it wasn't for Second Sense, I wouldn't be starting my thesis for my master's program in the fall. I wouldn't be back at work, and I wouldn't be getting my first guide dog next month. So I have so much to be grateful to Second Sense for, and I'm also so grateful to all of you because you support Second Sense. So thank you so much.
Well, at least I know next year who's going to be the MC for this. She's in.